So we talk about Dalvin Cook and the rushing attack of the Minnesota Vikings, which right now they are third in the league in terms of rushing yards per game. But we don't talk about C.J. Ham. And quite frankly, he's gotten little to no love on this channel. But that ends as of right now, because we're going to talk about or discuss what he means to Dalvin Cook, what he means to the running attack, and what he means to the Minnesota Vikings as a whole. We're going to do a whole ass podcast segment on C.J. Ham. So fullbacks are really thought of as a thing of the past. They're not necessarily as dire to a team's success as they were before, at least in a vacuum anyway. That is unless the team is establishing the run game as the focal point of the offense, which clearly the Vikings have. If you're going to be a fullback / lead blocker, then you really need to have the instincts of both a running back and an offensive lineman. So you need to be able to move up the field as if you are the ball carrier, but also once you identify your assignment, you need to be able to establish the run block. And if we're going to say that Dalvin Cook is the engine of this run game, which clearly he is, then C.J. Ham is the transmission that takes this run game up to another gear. And we can say that the offensive line, they're simply the body of the car that consistently gets a beat down. Rain, sleet, snow, hailstorms, your kids that get inside, they spill ketchup all over the interior. The offensive line is the body of the car. But C.J. Ham really excels on edge blocking. He really does a great job at sealing off those edge defenders to where he's chipping them, turning their backs towards the sidelines. And when necessary, he can establish the mano-a-mano blocks. C.J. Ham is a grown-ass man. C.J. Ham is a mother-freaking problem, to the point where you can literally hear the contact once he establishes his blocks. And sometimes on the inside handoffs to Dalvin Cook, C.J. Ham won't even take off. I guess because the play design may call for it once in a while. He won't even take off as the lead blocker moving up the field. Let's say the ball snaps. He'll sometimes move laterally, so move from sideline to sideline to see who's coming through. And once he sees that man, he'll absolutely stick him at the line of scrimmage. And then on play action, you can really use him as a cheat code as an additional offensive lineman to protect Kirk Cousins. Because once a defender gets behind the line of scrimmage, C.J. Ham will take you out. Basically, if you're a linebacker or a cornerback or a safety, if you see number 30 headed your way, you need to just go ahead and accept the fact that on that particular play, you're just not even a factor. Whoops, my bad, coach. Couldn't make the play. I'll get at him next time. And when you combine that, C.J. Ham with Dalvin Cook's vision and his patience, that really maximizes the effect of C.J. Ham, because once Ham establishes that lead block, then Dalvin Cook can go ahead and take off. He's very valuable at the goal line, and sometimes C.J. Ham will serve as a decoy. So in some cases, let's say the ball snaps, C.J. Ham will move off to the left, and that really draws the defense to his side to where Dalvin Cook will move to the opposite side. So as C.J. Ham goes left, the defense, they go left, and Dalvin Cook, he'll go right. He is so valuable to this team, and I've noticed that his usage is higher this year compared to last year. So last year, he was on the field for 13% of the offensive snaps. You compare that to this year, where so far through the first 10 games of the season, he's been on the field for 37% of the snaps. So that's damn near triple the increase in usage. He might be the best fullback in the league. He's certainly going to go to a Pro Bowl. I appreciate C.J. Ham. I give an apology out to C.J. Ham because I've noticed you, and I just never talk about this dude. I need to talk about him a lot more. I know it's not the sexy position to talk about, but he deserves a lot of credit. He is so valuable to the success of not only Dalvin Cook, but Alexander Madison as well. So we do this 3 times a week. Mediocre at Best Sports Podcast with Realistic Randy. Check me out on Twitter at realistic_Randy, Facebook at Realistic Randy. The next podcast will be tomorrow, previewing the upcoming game, Vikings versus Denver Broncos. We'll see you then.